Hello everyone, welcome back to another video, and in this one we are testing the Radeon RX 9070 XT. And yeah, I finally got this card personally for testing, and we're gonna be checking out it in Doom the Dark Ages today. And I have the Sapphire Pulse version of the card. Here are all the specs of the GPU. We got the latest driver 25.5.1, and resizable bar is also enabled inside BIOS. We got the sweet 16 gigabytes of VRAM GDDR6, and over here in Task Manager we got the Intel Core i7-13700K CPU. For memory, you got 64 gigabytes of DDR5, 6000 mega transfers per second, CL36. And finally, in MSI Afterburner, everything is set to their default settings. I have not made any changes. By the way, this Sapphire Pulse version of the card is slightly on the lower end in terms of core clock speed goes, so I want to manually increase it, but changing it here in MSI Afterburner doesn't do anything. So do let me know how to overclock the GPU, the AMD cards. I'm pretty new to this. I'm very new. This is the first time I'm using an AMD card. But anyway, let's get inside the game and check out the frame rates. So here we are inside the menu, guys. We're starting it off with 4K resolution at first. And field of view is set to 105. Chromatic aberration is disabled. And film grain is also turned off. And for upscaling, we have XeSS FSR 3.1. This is most likely. And this is we are going to use Native AA. Let me first use TAA instead of FSR. And rest of the settings, as you can see, motion blur is turned off. And for the texture pool size, I have maxed it out to 4 gigabytes. And for the rest of the settings are set to Ultra Nightmare, which is basically the maximum settings they can go. Let's apply this. Let me reduce the audio setting a bit. It's very loud. So I have already played a bit of the game, as you can see. And I'm gonna go back to the first mission. That's where I'm gonna test this out. So here we go in the starting area again, and we keep all our weapons, which is nice. And this is with the maximum graphic settings right now. And the game doesn't have path tracing support yet. They said they're gonna release it after the official launch of the game. This is in early access phase, by the way. So yeah, after the full launch, we will have an update for path tracing, and I don't know how this GPU is gonna work with that, but right now it has inbuilt ray tracing most likely, and it's working pretty good with this newer AMD cards. Yeah, I'm not really used to saying AMD that much. This is first time. I'm first time using an AMD GPU, and feels quite good. And we're getting 50 plus FPS. VRAM usage is kind of on the higher side because of the texture pool size. I have increased it to maximum, that is 4 gigs. And you should do that too if you have the VRAM to do that, because otherwise those textures don't really look nice. Even with like 4 gigs texture size, they don't look too nice. As you can see, this log right here, it's kind of messed up. They don't look too good. But one thing is really good about this game is the frame time, the 1% lows. They are pretty good, as you can see. Smooth gameplay. Even with 40 FPS, I can really play this game without an issue. Alright, let's kill through these bastards real quick and finish them up. And this is more like a slow-paced Doom, not like Doom Eternal or Doom 2016. This feels like a different game, like different Doom game altogether. You are like a tank with lots of defensive powers. Maybe because this is the origin story of the Slayer, and that's why he's kind of new to all of this. He's a noob overall. Yeah, that probably makes sense, right? Look at the VRAM usage and power usage, always pulling that 300 watts. And look at the clock speed. The core clock is like around 2800 something. Generally, all the other 9070 XTs you will see push over 300 megahertz. I mean 3000 megahertz. But this one, yeah, I think I made the wrong choice by buying this particular card, or this particular variant of the 9070 XT. But it still really outperforms my 4070 Ti Super any day. And yeah, we will need the help of some upscaling. That is FSR Qlty to get 60 plus FPS all the time. I mean, it's not bad by any means, even without upscaling. it is pretty smooth, as you can tell by the frame time. The shield is your best friend in this game. Not so much the weapons, but the shield is definitely. The weapons feel like they're just there to assist you. Main thing is the shield. And we're averaging around 50 FPS, 51 FPS as you can see. Yeah, let me know how much you are getting with the native 4K using TAA, maxed out settings. I would love to know though the difference between my 9070, the Sapphire Pulse, and yours. And now I'm gonna switch from TAA to FSR Native AA, and we're getting 53 FPS in this scene currently. So I'm gonna change this up, and let's enable Native AA of FSR. Here it is. Let's apply this. Let's see the difference. We're getting 53. So how much impact does that give us? Okay, we lose about 3 FPS. TAA wasn't that bad at all. This game, I would say. It was working perfectly fine for me. Not so blurry. Didn't look blurry by any means, TAA. You lose like 3 FPS, so I think I'd much rather use TAA over this to get that 3 extra FPS, 3 or 4 FPS.
Confirmed. Weapon drop incoming.
We already got that weapon, we don't need it. It's the gun we're gonna get. And look at our allocation of VRAM, 14.1 right now. So, all of these monsters are already dead here. There's one guy. Look at all that fire over here. This one looks like it's burning at 30 FPS, the fire effect, some of them. Let us try this with FSR set to quality now, and I think that's gonna be the way to play this game with the GPU at 4K resolution, everything maxed out. This is FSR 3.1, most likely I'm guessing, not FSR 4, and there is no option to manually also override it from the AMD application. I don't see it yet. Okay, I've got a big fight over here. Let's take all of these bastards out. Alright. And now we're getting 70 plus FPS, and you won't drop below that most of the time. Always it's gonna stay above 60. And that's why I said this is gonna be the way to play the game overall. So I missed it. This is like a boomerang shield. Or as you can see, even in so much combat, the frame time is buttery smooth, no stutters whatsoever. Obviously, this is not a UE5 title. This is on the ID Tech's Engine 8, I guess, Tech 8. Yeah, that's what it showed in the beginning, I remember. It is definitely the ID Tech 8.
There's a key in the nearby church. Route in the location.
And as you can see, the 1% lows are also the 0.1. They are above 60. Absolutely buttery smooth experience overall, and also the image quality, I have no issue with that with FSR. It's quite a good implementation overall. And look at this gun shooting skulls. I find it pretty funny. And the game is not that heavy on the CPU, by the way. And you will see that even at 1080p maxed out settings, it won't really bottleneck that much. Bash him out. That's it. And I think this is gonna be it with FSR quality settings. Runs pretty flawless, as you can see, with 81 FPS average, 1% lows. The lows are pretty good as well. Since we are trying upscaling, why not also try this with performance FSR? I'm not going to try balance because it's going to be in between quality and performance, so you can judge the performance pretty much by looking at both the clips of performance DLSS and quality DLSS. And now it's buttery smooth, 115 frames, more than that actually. And even the image quality looks pretty good. Also, I have increased the sharpness just to let you know manually. This FSR sharpness, I need to increase it a bit more maybe. Let's try this at 60%, because otherwise it looks very blurry. So at least you have access to the slider there for the sharpness. Now we're getting 97 1% glow. That is absolutely insane. And VRAM is being allocating 12.3 and usage at 9.6 GB. And this mission, this level is fairly demanding, by the way. It's not light by any means in terms of graphical fidelity and visuals. And as you can see, buttery smooth experience even with performance DLSS. I don't see any problem with the image whatsoever. Runs pretty good and looks pretty good at the same time. Now I have switched the resolution to 1440p as you can see, and everything else is maxed out pretty much. Chromatic aberration is disabled, film grain is set to 0, and FSR, as you can see, using the native AA. Only because of the sharpness slider, I have set it to 69%. Motion blur is turned off, and texture pool size is maxed out for GB, and everything else is set to Ultra Nightmare, which is basically maxed out. And I have restarted the level, as you can see, from the beginning. And right now we're getting 90 plus FPS, and the 9070 XT is generally a 1440p card, but it can obviously do 4K, as you have seen in many games with the help of upscaling, just like the 4070 Ti Super could, and so does the 5070 Ti. And this is a pretty good experience overall at 1440p right off the bat, as you can see. I mean, 90 FPS is more than enough you will need in a game like this. And it will obviously drop below there. As you can see, touch 70 is there for a second. Where is my skull gun? There we go. Love this weapon. You can like shoot everyone down with this. And its fire rate also increases over time. I really find this gun funny and hilarious. There we go, all clear, and here we're getting like 75-ish frames, kind of more demanding in this sequence. And VRAM is also being used over 12, the allocated VRAM I mean. And it's only because of the 4 GB texture pool size. You can decrease it if you want. If you have less of a VRAM, you can increase it to 2 GB. That is the default, which the game will set you to. And I think for 8 GB GPUs, we will need to use the 1 gig texture pool size, most likely. But we'll try that later on. And so far, this GPU is performing really good. And I'm really enjoying this card as well. It's the first time I'm using an AMD GPU in my life. And I think I made the right choice by getting this and not the 5070 Ti, because it's not worth it for the extra 20% you have to pay for that. At least where I live, it's definitely not worth it. And at 1440p, this GPU is really shiny, as you can see, pulling 300 watts, more than 300 watts constantly. And you don't even need to use any upscaling on top of this at 1440p. But I will still try it with FSR Qlty just so you can see the performance overall. So let's switch FSR to Qlty now from native AA. Apply this up, everything is maxed out. Now it looks a bit more blurry overall, but as you can see now we're getting 140 plus FPS. Very high refresh rate experience you can get with these settings. But I would not recommend you try this
You have a lock on the Slayer's
because the
location.
visual compromise is huge.
Confirmed.
It is very blurry and soft. Obviously, because we are using upscaling on top of 1440p. Also, I'm gonna try frame generation in the end because this game is having issues with the MSI Afterburner, and using FSR frame gen, it just crashes the game or won't even launch at times. It will just stay at black screen, or even if it works, it will crash my PC altogether and restart it. Let me know if you are having that issue as well. And I'll have to check my NVIDIA GPUs if it does the same with DLSS frame generation. But FSR frame generation is not working with MSI Afterburner running alongside. So I'll have to show you the performance through the game's matrices, the performance matrices it has, which is nice. And I can also, I don't think the AMD overlay is gonna work. It doesn't show up on the Elgato capture card, unfortunately, so I can't show you that.
Is under lockdown. There's a key in the nearby church.
So yeah guys, this is how it is. 136 average, and the lows are pretty good. Flawless experience. I think they have done a really good job on in terms of optimization with this game. But yeah, the textures could have really been much better than what they are right now. Maybe a high resolution texture pack would be nice to have, I guess. I really don't, I'm not a fan of the textures in this game. They look way too soft and blurry. And finally guys, we're gonna test this out with 1080p resolution. I don't know how many of you are gonna play at 1080p with this card. Let me know if you are. And we're gonna use FSR Native AA, and everything else is maxed out. There's Ultra Nightmare settings. And here we go, starting from the beginning again. And as you can see, no bottlenecking from the CPU, even at 1080p right now. And this game really looks great at 1080p, I would say. Not like many games out there, I keep on saying they look pretty blurry. Some of them, mostly the UE5 titles at 1080p, they don't look too good. But this one really looks pretty good and sharp and crystal clear, even at 1080p resolution. And FPS, as you can see, over 120 frames per second. Pretty flawless and smooth experience overall. There are some stutters here and there when loading in a new area. You will see that happen. But yeah, other than that, really good, really a good experience overall. I switch to my skull gun again and deal with these bastards. Just shred through everything. Love this gun. There we go. So yeah, for 1080p, I think you will be just fine. You will get a very good experience overall, and I don't think I need to test this any further at 1080p resolution. And now I'm gonna try this with frame generation at 4K and 1440p. Let's try that. Now guys, we're gonna try this with frame generation enabled, FSR frame generation, and turn that on top of FSR native anti-aliasing. And we are using everything maxed out right now, Ultra Nightmare settings. Let's apply that. And I am not using MSI Afterburner because I cannot do that, because it will just crash if I enable MSI Afterburner on top of FSR frame generation. It just does not work. So I'm going to instead enable this Ultra Nightmare performance matrices, so you can see the FPS and all the stuff over here on the side. And I have moved my camera down to the left, as you can see.
Impact confirmed. The
So
Slayer
with
has
frame
been
generation, yeah, the FPS counter is a bit small, but I'll probably zoom it in for you guys using editing, because why not? And yeah, the input lag, I can really feel it there. And maybe on if you like use FSR Qlty upscaling and then use this frame generation, it should work fine. It's not like it's not playable, but yeah, those drops to like 70s, they're kind of unbearable at times. And it's very like unsmooth, not so smooth. I mean, I can feel the sluggishness right now, even while shooting, when moving around. And this is one of the more demanding areas or demanding scenes with all of these monsters around, or demons. I think, yeah, we will have to try this with some quality FSR. So let's try that. Averaging around, how much is the average there? What does it say? 13? 12? Where is the average written? I can't even see it. The side. Alright, I'll go ahead and turn on quality FSR now. That should really help with the input lag. And everything else is maxed out right now. And now, as you can see, the frame rate has jumped up over 120, which means we are, obviously the base FPS is over 60. And now the input lag is, I can't really feel it that much. It is there slightly, but it is something you can get used to over time, for sure. And now it's much more playable, like this. And if you want to use frame generation, make sure you enable some upscaling, at least at 4K. Really smooth overall. And the reason also I did not test other graphics preset in this game, because they don't make much of a difference. I mean, you don't gain much from lowering the graphics settings in this game. Even with medium settings, you don't gain much of frame rate overall, and the image also looks the same, almost. And now we are getting 120, 130 FPS overall, quite playable now like this. And I think after this I'm going to switch to 1440p and everything maxed out. I'm going to try that with frame generation natively. So I'm now at 1440p resolution, everything maxed out. We're using ultra nightmare settings here, as you can see, with 4 GB of texture pool size. And the matrices are all here, the performance matrices. Frame generation is also turned on, FSR frame gen. And now we can get above 150, 160 also. And the base FPS, remember, it was around 80, 90 at 1440p resolution. So yeah, it's gonna be a buttery smooth experience overall like this. Did not have any issues even with frame gen turned on. And let me know, guys, if you're having crashes also with MSI Afterburner running alongside when you use FSR frame generation, if you're having crashes or not. Look at all that fire there, touching 170 FPS. I mean, you don't really need to use frame generation at 1440p in this game. You are much better off without it, but like with 80-90 FPS, that's more than enough for you in a game like this. But if you still want the higher refresh rate of an FPS game, you can do that without any problem. Let's fight this sequence off and then I'll stop. Let's kill all of these bastards real quick with my skull gun. Smack him. Go, let's grab that shield. Well, honestly, in terms of this, in terms of the game, I don't really like this game over Doom Eternal. I think Doom Eternal is still gonna be my choice over this. The only reason is this game is way too like slow compared to the previous two games. It's way too sluggish overall and way too defensive, and that's why I don't like it.
There's a key in the nearby church. Route in the
That's my
location.
personal take overall for this game. So that's gonna be it for this video, guys. Do leave a like if you enjoyed and if this video helped you, and also make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Till then, take care and bye bye.